legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said, to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.
All of us coming back. I cannot accept this fade to black, and the thought of the wasted dreams of a nation down on its knees. Is it already over? Tickets to the circus show. If you don't, then you'll never know. Take a stand while you have the time. Drown your fear and keep hope alive. Be the change that you want to see. Be the wrench inside the machine. Is it already over? Is it already over? It's over.
All right, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday night, Small Town Underground. Appreciate everybody that has been sticking with me, hanging out for all of the debates that we've been covering this week. I really did not plan that. I had some technical issues at Studio 2, but I think we made them work. I've got one more that I'm going to release before the weekend, and we do have some stuff planned for Friday night and Saturday night where we'll be doing some pretty cool panel shows. I'm not going to give any details yet, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some fun this weekend. As you, most of you know, I will be in the gray all next week. I will be gone. This is the last show for at least a week and a half. And I really wasn't even going to do one tonight after I started doing the other debates that we were working on. But as Providence has it, I have been trying to get this guest on for a long time. We've been trying to schedule it and make it happen. And tonight is the night, and I'm super excited because this man is yet another wealth of information and knowledge and how we turn the crisis that we are in America, how we can turn this thing around. And I'm fully immersed in the John Birch Society. We are, as most of you know, we've been recruiting people. We've been trying to get our first meeting off the ground, and we live in Georgia. It is an election year in Georgia, so we know that's eating up a lot of our time. But we've had some really, really great people from the John Birch Society on, and so tonight I would like to welcome Wayne Morrow, who is the president of the JBS, and he's turned the JBS around, and he's flipped this thing around where we're starting like to I guess climb back up, right? And I don't want to steal his thunder, but like he said, America, the world is now catching up with John Birch Society, and I fully believe that. And they have the history to prove it. So join us tonight. You can join us here in the comments. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Get this out to as many people as we can possibly get out. We're streaming live to 4 different platforms. We'll take your comments. But Wayne, welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks. How are you? You're in the underground, huh?
We're in the underground, just a small town dude. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just out here doing it. So
You know what you're doing. Very good.
well, thank you. Welcome to the show. And like I said, I've been wanting this to happen for a long time. So I'm very grateful. And I kind of talking to you before the show. This is kind of going to be your show. You know, I posed the question to you. Given everything that we've went through and where America is right now, I feel like we're at a huge crossroads. And so I would like for you to start, just tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got involved with
Sure.
John Birch, and this kind of where we're headed.
Right. Well, thank you. Pleasure to be on. Well, I started my life as a research scientist, so that's kind of like that. And I told my wife the only lottery I ever won was drafted in the Vietnam War. So I got a chance to get drafted. Number 92. How about that? Off I go.
Number 92. Wow.
Only lottery I ever won. Anyhow, anyway, got green clothes on Labor Day weekend. I was off to the races. Anyhow, one of the guys gave me a book called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. And, I read that book from cover to cover. I said, where do I join? We actually had that book still exists, None Dare Call It Conspiracy. And that was many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And as I read this, it was top of the puzzle box for me. So now I understand how this all works. That was like 45 years ago or more.
Wow.
And as time goes on, and 400 or 500 books I read and met people along my way, I joined staff about 10 years ago. And I worked my way up in the field to vice president, president, CEO now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so, anyhow, so I got a chance to, for my corporate experience, put in some things that I saw along the way, but just meeting people, lived internationally. And I said, I see the problems around. They've been going on for a long time. This isn't like Obama days and Joe Biden. This has been going on for a very, very long time. And Mr. Welch saw that as a business person out in Massachusetts. And he said, we're going to get some guys together we know are influential back in 1958 in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he talked about this is really important. We have communism on coming at us. And here's the list of things they're going to do. Now, you go onto YouTube and our website, jbs.org. You could see those videos, black and white. And he talked about things back then that he could see coming. Basing our currency, nationalizing the police force.
Right.
More government, high taxes, on it goes. And attack on morality. And that was back in 1958.
Man.
And as we look at it today, we have, as you all know, the Blue Book. It was basically his 2-day speech he put together, and members read it because it's not the Bible. It's basically what he saw in 1958. Look at it now.
Yeah.
And so we lived through a lot of tough times since I've been a member. Like, for example, we're all going to be gone in 1976. Year 2000, when the clock turns, all the computers are going to upside down. We're all done.
Yeah.
And we're still here, right?
Yes.
So, so my as we start our conversation, and I know people feel like the end is near, is I've heard that story for a long, long time.
Right.
Because man does not want to be a slave. And we're fighting a spiritual battle. And there's a lot more good people than bad people.
Right.
So our job is to wake people up and say, stand tall and oppose evil and do good. And that's how we win. That's what the church, for sure, which is sleeping. Not all of them, but I'm asleep. And I know I talked to here down the Bible Belt. There's a lot of guys who know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's the key. It's us. We have to get involved in the process. There's no magic. There's no magical man you're going to hire or lady you're going to hire in Congress or state legislators are going to save you. It's us.
Right.
And going back to our founding fathers, they knew that. That's why the Constitution is so important. And most Americans don't read the Constitution. That's why we teach it. I go around, Ray, and I ask this question around the United States. When's the last time you read the Constitution? Maybe about 5% of the people in the room.
Right.
Then I ask the question, then how do you elect constitutional-minded representative. This could be congressman or senator. How do you do that? Well, he's a nice guy. He follows a car dealership. Well, that's not a good answer. Then I asked for state legislator. I said, when's the last time you read your state constitution? Georgia, Kentucky, Indiana, you pick the state. The answer is usually 0.
Right. You're
so then
100%
I asked the
right.
question, well, then how do you then keep people in line with our constitution of a state of Georgia, for example, or Kentucky, whatever, or Alabama? If you don't know the constitution, you don't know a rule book, then how can you hold them accountable?
That's right. And they don't even know it.
Here, it's not the elected officials, because they only had one vote. It's us.
Mm-hmm.
We've been sufficiently dumbed down on purpose.
Yes.
And we don't care. We're more about football scores and spend a little time about saving our country.
That's right.
But that problem's been going on for a long time. So this is nothing new for me. And it looks like now we got a lot more faster technology and faster emails, and everybody's got instant information. Not like the old days, put a letter in the mail and see in a week or two.
Yes.
So now they think like the world's on fire, which it is. But that's the functionality of us being complacent.
Right.
So our job is educate. We're all about education. We don't march around throwing signs up in the sky. Mr. Walsh says, educate. The left educates people because education is important. They educate our children to love socialism. See what's going on now?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to then reverse that mentality back in our children, that socialism is not the answer. That's a trap, which leads to communism, to tyranny,
Mm-hmm.
and then totalitarianism. That's the trap. That's the scope. So that's the big picture. We're all about education. We have we thousands of books. We have magazines called The New American, comes out once a month, and we have a school from kindergarten to high school called Freedom Project Academy. It's live online education because we know educating youth is important. It's a great alternative to public education, which you're not learning much at all.
No.
Teaching people how to read and write cursive, that's a nice thing to do for change. Even though I understand it's going on in Georgia for change, but also reading books.
Right.
And boy, we got some horror stories about kids coming into our school from all over the country. They can't read.
Mm-hmm.
So we spend time educating our youth as well as our adults.
That's key.
So it's all about education. And as you have questions and all that I know you'll get is that I have a lot of hope. I really do, because I know in the end we win, regardless of what happens here on earth. We win.
Amen.
But in the meantime, it's oppose evil and do good. It's really important to do that. And being involved in your local politics or a congressional race, but understand who we are first. Most people don't have no idea what America's all about. They think it's baseball games and hot dogs, and that's all part of it. But that's the shame. That's why they get
That's the part of it.
left and the right, brother, because they're watching television. They're never going to tell you anything.
Well, that's the bread and circus they want us to focus on, is the hot dogs, and all that stuff in the baseball. But really, we're selling ourselves short.
Yeah.
So
they did the Roman times. Remember?
Yes.
They had to feed the Christians to the lions.
That's right.
Caesar's having a good time. Same old story. Circus isn't. Just give them cake and have a good time, right?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's a question I ask a lot about humanity. I wonder, I love history. History is so important to us, especially when we're learning now. A lot of our history has been, written by the victors. It's sort of lies, and you're beginning to kind of uncover what wars are really about and how the world was structured. But is it inherent in man? Do we always seem to end up in this place? Is there a way out of it? How much of this do you think is inherent to just humankind?
The old day in the back of the Bible, we need a Saul, we need a king. How'd that work out, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's if you read scripture, that's kind of like nothing new. The only thing that's changed is clothes. People have been so men. Ladies, it's the same old story.
Yeah.
The Pharisees are now politicians. I can go on and on, but or crooked bankers.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that nothing's really changed at all.
Yeah.
The man's heart is still depraved. And so that's really, I go back to the spiritual battle that we have. And once you accomplish that and understand where we are and why we're here, then truth prevails over lies. Mr. Welch, the founder, told me, telling the truth doesn't cost a lot of money, but lying costs a lot of money.
Right. Exactly.
And that's true, And I thought about that for a while. I mean, but I travel around the country, and I can, because this is important to share with the people listening. I get to see.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on Kentucky, Indiana, Texas, on and on it goes. The majority of the people I meet are strong believers in freedom, and they want government off their back.
Right.
And you don't see that in a national television set. They all think it's all, all that global speak. Mm-hmm. That is not what I see at all. Right. I see a very small percentage of the people sold out, but I'm seeing more youth, college students being brainwashed to socialism. That's a problem. And that's why
it is.
Our focus will be now on the youth from 18 to 28, the Gen Zs. Mm-hmm. And they're what we've seen so far of them, Roy, is that they want to know the truth. They know they've been lied to, and that's a real good sign, folks. And
yes.
we have a new program called Youth for Truth. Mm-hmm. It's a non-for-profit. We have an ex-Turning Point USA guy running that for us. Mm. And he's seeing the college students know they're being lied to. They said immigration is number one as a problem, stay on their jobs. They can't buy a house. They can't start a family. And they know they're being lied to. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, I'm an independent. I'm not a Republican, Democrat. I just want the truth. And they embrace what we tell them. And they said, boy, it's about time I found an organization that's telling the truth. That's what they tell us. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it is.
Tell us more. So I have a lot of hope for the Gen Z crowd. The other crowds, depends. Even the guys, millennials and all, they're kind of in the center, back and forth. Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm seeing as a trend. But overall, lots of great people do not want lots of government. They want to have a good life. They want a government to get off their backs. That's a general thing that I see in living rooms, in restaurants, and churches all over the United States. That's what I see.
Yeah. And I would like to point out that, the New American magazine that the John Birch Society has is probably one of the most prolific magazines that you could possibly get. It's still in writing. They still send it to you. And some of the best articles I've ever read that touch on so many, current events, and it connects with history. But I have a question, in politics, it seems like, we can find a person who is, say, constitutionally principled, conservative, whatever you want to call it, somebody who wants to do things right. And the machine that they enter into has been completely hijacked and set up to be where it'll either eat them alive or they become the very thing that they fight. And I wonder if you can elaborate on that a little bit, because
sure. I give a good example. Tom Massey,
100%.
Tom was 100%. We know Tom Massey. I've talked to him, met him, and he said, "I sit in Congress." This is words from him, and he said they come up to me and says, "Hey Tom, how you voted for that bill?" He said, "Well, didn't you read it?" "No, I didn't read that. It's 1,100 pages." He said, "Well, I read every word of it, and I underlined stuff." He said, "I asked 3 questions." "Which are 3 questions?" He said, "Is it constitutional? Can we afford it? Do we need it? If it's no to any one of those things, I vote against it."
Yeah.
So he said, there's no common sense, but there's a lot of cronyism in Washington because they want to go along, get along, right?
Right. You want to make your bed, right? Yeah.
That's right. I'm just going to hang in here, have a nice little job here, press a few buttons. So that's problem one, is that, and the reason for that is that we talked about this before we got on the show, is that now the problem becomes us, because we have those. At the Freedom Index, we have a congressman or state legislative scorecard, and it's available online, thefreedomindex.org.
We use it a lot.
You can print it out and say, "Hey, Congressman Clyde," or whoever it may be, "you voted great. Keep up the good work." Or, "Hey, state legislator X and Y, wherever they are in the United States, you're at 20% out of 100. This is awful. Can I talk to you about why you're voting this way?"
That's right.
And you got to go in twos, by the way, brother. And so what happens is nobody does that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when nobody does it, they're thinking they're doing a great job. Tom Massey said this to me. he said to me, nobody usually calls his office about anything of substance at all. He said phone calls are really important. We used to live in Florida. Ted Yoho said the same thing. I get 30 phone calls. We have a staff meeting about it. So nobody calls. Think about it. They all complain to the television set, but nobody calls or visits them.
Right.
The other thing is something to think about as they're listening to this is that you get a lot more time with the staffers. Our members visit the staffers of the congressional offices here locally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where you are in the United States. And you can spend time with those 28-year-old, 25-year-olders because they don't know Americanism either. And you teach them that.
Right.
So the question becomes, why did you have Congressman Roy vote that way?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's unconstitutional according to the scorecard.
Right.
Could you explain it to me, please? And it's very interesting. It's a teaching moment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great?
It
so
is.
if you don't see them, they don't know any better. They vote like cronyism.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, and it's something that I've seen really develop over the years, especially in conservatism, because you brought up earlier how, like, if you look at this, and I'm just, the Democrat side of things or whatever, they're much more organized, and they're there whether they get paid or not, whatever. But I'm seeing now where these things are coming to fruition. We've got so many grassroots people that are now making these relationships and going in and talking to all the staffers and like sitting down with these legislators. And now I've seen this huge shift in this last year where things that I would go down to the Capitol and probably get laughed at for talking about, now they are calling me, asking me, hey, let's talk about this. So I think that's a huge key in moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. It's a citizen involvement. It's always a problem. So before we went on the air again, we talked about this. The problem is us, your neighborhood. Like, who voted for Biden? I didn't. I go down the street. Anybody? Nobody voted for the guy. It was zero, right? Who voted for Biden? I didn't vote for. Okay, so I didn't vote for that guy. Somebody did, right? So then nobody, admits it. Or I didn't vote at all. They say, well, it's a waste of time. I'm not going to vote at all. Which is the worst answer in the whole wide world.
Right.
Yeah, the machines cheat, so I'm not going to vote. Listen, they've been cheating elections since Abraham Lincoln days, or maybe before then, right?
It's true.
Come on now. Is that an excuse not to vote? 80% of, we heard that statistic in the United States are paper ballots. And they can still cheat with paper ballots. If they can find a way, believe me, to stuff the box with something.
Yeah.
So the question is being involved and holding these people accountable. This is what I've seen in my experience. If I visit a state legislator, out of 100%, he's a 60%. You know what I hear? Geez, I better do a better job because you're going to take me out of office. I heard that in Kentucky, California, Texas, wherever I went with the members. I got to do a better job. We're going to pass this around in your district because they're going to know how you vote.
Right.
And all of a sudden you see the pale in their face because, I'm not doing such a good job now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's anything we print off. So that's one of your answers is, I go back to that as knowledge and education.
Case in point. So we have ran with the Freedom Index here. We've been using it now for probably close to two years. And now most of our legislators are very scared. And we've even went one step further, and we've aggregated along with the Freedom Index with several, like what we consider grassroots constitutional organizations, and we're getting aggregate scores. And some of these guys are losing their minds, man. Yeah.
Thank you for that testimony.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Freedom Index by far is the best thing I've ever seen. And how anybody could argue against it? That's literally a metric to find out where we're at and how to get better. And if it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the cool thing about that is that Tom Massey told us that he thinks ours are the most difficult scorecard, and the reason for it, we don't tell the legislators what we vote on.
Right. We
keep Heritage and those guys tell them exactly what they're going to vote on, so they will click the button to look good, right?
Exactly.
So we don't tell them to after.
Right.
That's very interesting. But by the way, we have a web app, as you know, the Freedom Index. You can get for your phone.
Yes.
People are interested, you go on the freedomindex.us.
Yes.
Freedomindex.us. You can download that app to your Android or iPhone. You'll have the voting record of everybody in the United States, every state legislator, state senator, and congressman in the United States in the palm of your hand, right?
Yep. That is a powerful tool. I know hundreds of people who use that now as their standard. So absolutely.
Yeah. So that I think that's one of the big issues you mentioned about is it too late? Is that the enemy puts fear into people. The Lord doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, right? 2 Timothy 1:7. And so that's a weapon. And I know that working in Europe, the folks I know, the socialist countries use fear to control people. And I always tell them the battle's between your ears. Because when you're fearful, you're already a slave. You won't speak out. You're afraid to say anything against anybody, and you go hiding. You go hide in the woods. And this is exactly what they want you to do is not fight them, is to roll over and play dead. And but I've seen the changes you mentioned because they know that they're being lied to, and they're tired of it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing Trump change his tune. I think the shine has gone off, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, what is this guy really doing to us now?
Well, I a lot of people, I follow so much media, and I tell people, look, I'm just a spectator. I'm here. I'm involved. No reason for me to just give up on Donald Trump. Like, you have to be either or. But I almost feel like that he is again surrounded by people who, the way I kind of envision it is he just gets up and everybody says that everything outside is sunshine and rainbows. And he's not even getting to take in just how crazy things are around, outside of his bubble. And I may be seeing some cracks with that, right? Maybe Trump is starting to realize, but this is not the same, presidency that we voted for or we had in 2016. And I know a lot of people have a big issue with that, but we can't. Yeah. The truth is the truth, no matter how you look at it.
Oh yeah. Well, in our magazine, the Conspiracy magazine, which we have, folks, it's 102 pages. It came out in May, and it's a blockbuster. It talks about it, and inside that is a foldout on the CFO, the Council on Foreign Relations, going back to FDR to Trump, and who's in the CFR in all those administrations. And Trump has people in the CFR in his administration. And
that's right.
The Council on Foreign Relations, folks, I'll give you a quick story about that. They started in 1923. They actually control foreign policy of all the administrations. Believe me, they do. So even though you think President Trump's doing something, he got a visit. Remember, he got the visit from Henry Kissinger. Like, what's he doing in there? He's probably said, "Son, let me tell you who's running the show here," right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So believe me.
It's plausible. Something seemed to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, that's so. I'll go back a little in history. I think this is we have the time. So, take a look at England. When I lived there, there's a group called the Fabians, not the guy with the singer and the coif. This is not a different Fabian, right? So this story with the Fabian goes like this. When I lived in England, I lived in Oxfordshire, in Oxford University, is that this Aldous Huxley was a Fabian. He told this man all the story about what was going on about
New World.
This thing called the Fabians, right? Brave New World. The guy's writing it down. He goes, "This is a phenomenal story." He said, "I want to put this in a book because people got to hear this, Yeah. And so he started writing this book, and he looked at it. This is, what I'm reading through all the information I could find out about it. He said, "I can't put my name in there because I'll look like a crazy person. I'm going to change my name, and I'll give myself a pen name. So I'll think of one." He thought of, one of his kings, George and Orwell. So George Orwell is a pen name for Eric Blair. Eric Blair is the real author of 1984. I always ask the people the question, why is it 1984? And they say, why is that? It said, because the Fabians started in 1884, and they said, with 100 years of their existence to have world government.
Wow.
The Fabians are October. Isn't that interesting? That's the reason
I never knew that.
Yeah. Okay. You owe me a cup of coffee. So anyhow, listen to this. So anyway, knowing that's the case, right? That's why what he writes in 1984, Big Brother, Orwellian, is what we see today, right? So this isn't nothing new, right?
Right. This is the same white papers, the promise of absolutely.
And they're Marxists, but they do it in an easier way. Where Karl Marx wants more bloodshed, they want to do it more educationally way, the soft way, the slow way. So in let's say 1920, President Wilson sent over from the United States Mandel House and Bertrand Russell and Bertrand Russell, called the Board of Inquiries. You can look this up. And they went over and spent time in London about who are these Fabians, right?
Yeah, the Fabian
And
Society, right?
yeah, they said, let me see what this is all about. And they came back into the United States and they formed the Council on Foreign Relations.
Mm,
So the CFR and the Fabians are brothers and sisters,
wow.
and they run, foreign policy.
Mm-hmm.
The Fabians in England are the London School of Economics. All the Labour Party was invented by the Fabians. So the current Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan are Labour Party. They're Fabians. That's why they're trying to destroy England. I'll tell you a quick funny story about that. So what we're seeing is that those are coming attraction for the United States.
Yeah.
Although you see the Brits marching in the streets now, right?
Yep.
And so I met up with Liz Truss, who was the Prime Minister of England. I met her at a meeting, and she came off stage, and I said, Liz, I used to live in England, and the Fabians sacked you, because she's only a prime minister for 2 months.
That's right.
The Bank of England sacked her because they said interest rates are too high. That was an excuse. By the way, the Bank of England was run by a Fabian, so figure this one out, right? So they had to put a Fabian in, right? So just can't make this up.
Right.
So anyway, I sent her our book, The Fabian Freeway. Folks, you can get this book called The Fabian Freeway. It's on our bookstore, jbs.org. So she must have read the book in October when I sent it to her. Because come December, she said, my name is Liz Truss, and I had a new tooth, and my gloves are off. I'm back, and I'm angry. So she must have read the book.
Right.
So now if you dial up YouTube Fabians, you'll see about 7 or 8 YouTubers talking about the Fabians.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see people marching in the streets. And why am I telling you all of this? Okay.
Fabian socialism. Yeah.
Because they finally found out they're being had by the Fabians, the socialism. That's not going to work. Yes. And she has been really important, outspoken, a lot of other these pundits, much like yourself, independent media, waking people up to this.
Yeah.
So what you see in England going on is great to see. So the Birch Society, I take our New American magazine, Roy, and our app is the New American on App Store. And this magazine now is in 10 different languages.
Wow.
Electronically.
Wow.
So I have in French, German, and so I owe it to my European friends. You have to know what's going on, because I've asked them, a couple of Europeans, what do they know about the United States? And here's the 2 news sources, New York Times and CNN.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I want to go back just a little bit. I've read 1984. I've seen the movie. I still have not read Brave New World. I'm actually in the process of William Cooper's book, Behold a Pale Horse. I feel like so much of this needs to the people can understand it better if we get back to these. But Fabian socialism, this is where all this comes from. I also believe that we also, just like you said, we have to pay a lot of attention to what happens over in Europe, because they are setting sort of this foundation, right, of everything they're going to be bringing our way. And I just believe that they have to destroy our Constitution. They have to destroy the American dream, the ideal, in order to move on to this sort of globalist, utopia, this one world order that they've been desperately trying to do. What is your take on that?
Exactly right. That's why I spend time in Europe, because I slow them down. And you're
Amen.
watching. I am. I mean, it's coming our way, right?
It is.
So I have to slow them down. It's like it's a good general, right? We'll go the flank and we'll take them out in the flank, right? So they're too busy now. It's not such an easy. When they found out what's going on, they're losing, because I live with these people. They're blue suits, white shirts. Everything's prim and proper. Nothing's crazy. All slipshod. That graffiti on the walls. They don't go for that at all, right? And that's what's going on now. They can't tolerate. Their children are being raped, beat up. This is not them, and they had enough of it. So when you had 300,000 people marching through London with flags and crosses, that's a big deal.
It is,
and that should wake up Americans. Like, hey, this is good to see, because they said we're done with this. We're not. You're destroyed. And so Keir Starmer, the current prime minister, his ratings are around 20% now. And I don't think he's going to make it to the end of the year. I think they're going to toss him. I hear this in the BBC News and all.
Right.
So this is a good thing, because they find out, hey, you're a Fabian. The last election, he lost a lot of seats. And Nigel Farage is coming at it again. So I think you're going to see a change here. And it had to get real bad, Roy, before people to wake up. And I'm trying to avoid that in America.
Right.
Because we have it a little too good, and when it starts putting a squeeze on us, like economically, then we start barking, we're paying attention. But I don't need to get to the point where we can't do this and we have riots in the streets to wake up. And that's not what I need. But I just see that in Europe.
Right.
And I'm trying to avoid that here.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I also see another play going on here. Obviously, I feel as if, you know, the masters of our that want to be of our universe are 10 steps ahead. So now we're close to this sort of technocratic revolution that's taken over. We're seeing the advent of like data centers, artificial intelligence, all of these things that can be linked heavily to like central bank digital currency, you know, the sort of China model for subservient, you know, populations. What is your take on all that? And do you kind of agree that they're kind of skipping over us being out in the street and they're going to try to control us?
Yeah, we have our current magazine is called the AI Prison Planet.
Yes.
And it just came out a few days ago, and it was great. Patrick Wood is a good friend of ours. You could read it. You folks ought to get our magazine.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I was in Utah a couple weeks ago, and they actually shut down the AI data center out in the farmlands. They told them not to sell the property. So the answer is you can be done. You can turn it around. Once people know what it is, it's not a good deal.
Right.
It's a prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's a digital prison.
Digital prison.
And that's why they're building. So they have it here in Georgia, right? I mean, you know.
Well, they're trying to make Georgia the number one state.
Yeah. Why are you selling your property for this? And after they build it, sucks the water out and takes, you know, energy out. So why would you do this? What's the benefit?
Right.
And I think people waking up to the fact it doesn't do anything other than develops that digital prison.
Sure.
So I think sometimes these people overplay their hand because they think they're unstoppable, and they're finding out you can't do that.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I certainly hope so. I mean, a lot of people are waking up over this, but I'm also seeing some pushback from some very surprisingly places trying to convince people that this is some sort of Chinese psyop, that and that people aren't really upset about these things, that it's just the Chinese putting it in people's heads. And I'm sitting here going, wow, you know, this is coming from my side of things. Like, there, you know, I have no influence from China. In fact, when you do the data center comparison, it's far, far more different than it is America. We're into the thousands versus, you know, so it just seems like that no matter what, though, that they're dead set on this sort of technocratic revolution to take place.
Yeah, well, they're the technocrats certainly want to do that. But, you know, you mentioned China or Russia. In the globalist scheme, they're just a pawn in the game.
Right.
And it's not just China or Russia or, you know, Iran. I mean, they're all points in the game. So, you know, when you study we call it the conspirators or the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, which are satanic. We know who the CEO of it is Satan. He's the CEO, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So the top of the pyramid, I might talk to Catherine Austin Fitz, you know, the celebrity reporter. She's a good friend of ours.
Wonderful,
She'll be at our
wonderful
meeting
person.
this weekend, right? She's a Federal Reserve governor, was going to be one. She'll tell you that you don't know the name of the people on the top. If you know their name, folks, that's not them.
That's right. There you go.
They're unknown.
Yes.
Only you know who's controlling them. I go back to my story. It's spiritual battle. You have to realize it's spiritually driven. It's got nothing to do with economics or money or it's all about power, determining who lives and dies. They hate God's plan. They want to destroy everything.
Right.
But now, you know, the Lord's on our side, could be against us, right? I tell you, we have a lot more power in us than people admit or acknowledge. So it's up to us to push back, to stand up.
Absolutely.
Because they have to tell you, Roy, what they do before they do it.
That's
and
right.
If you say, no, I'm not going to do this, then they go back. That's the pushback. You know?
Isn't that I try to explain that to people. It's like almost a universal spiritual law. They have to tell you what they're doing. They have because you have to, as a human being in the spiritual battle, you must be presented with the choice, right? And I think that goes over some people's heads, but that's like the law of everything, right? They are going to tell you.
That's right. That's their satanic deal. They got to tell you first.
That's right.
If you said, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so you see the pushback in England? We're not going to do this now. Okay, we got to regroup now. Let me think about it now. So I go back to us in America, is that complacency is our biggest problem.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, overall, like, wake up, folks. You know, this is not the Twilight Zone. It's going to get ugly. You know.
Yeah. And
it's all up to us.
it's a hard thing, Wayne, because we went through this last election, and of course we brought up Thomas Massey. In a lot of ways, that was a rigged election in Kentucky because literally they bought and paid for that seat, and they were happy about it. But we are seeing the same thing in Georgia, where we've got more kind of patriots out on warriors on the ground. And we've seen this gambling lobby that has come in all across the state and spent millions of dollars to prop up all these candidates. And it's just like, where are people at? We voted recently for a state senator that was virtually never showed up to anything, and he just sailed right on through. It's disturbing.
Yeah, it is. Well, it happens around the United States, not every time.
Yeah.
But I go back to people involvement. How'd that happen? It didn't happen yesterday,
Right.
last week. It's been going on for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and because they know they're not meeting a lot of resistance.
Yeah, and I don't know what the point is. What is that point where people do? We've seen property taxes rise up so much. We've seen, the inflation. Our money is worthless. Young people can't even buy homes anymore. I'm like, what is going to be the breaking point? It's crazy to me. I mean, I don't understand it, but
Well, sometimes Americans have to have their face pushed against the front door before they have to do something. And I've seen that happen. And hopefully that doesn't happen. It happened in England,
right,
because they saw their whole culture being dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we can't take this. And I living with them, I'm surprised it took them that long.
right.
But boy, I'll tell you, they're pretty feisty people. You see them at soccer games. You don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
be on the opposing side, man. You'll have a knot in your head. But the
Right.
thing is, once they find out that their families and their children are under attack, game on. They're not going to tolerate it anymore. So
Right on.
that's what I see. But you got to be careful, because the conspirators want you to revolt and go to anarchy, because
They do.
that's the next play. Then is totalitarianism. Nationalized police force. You guys can't play nice.
Well, I don't know if you're keeping up with data centers now, but even the Trump administration now, our government is talking about putting people on a list who oppose data centers, and you have people like Larry Fink from BlackRock talking about he's more concerned with the possibility that some homegrown terrorist could blow up a data center with a $3,000 drone. They're more concerned with protecting these things, and they're gearing up like there's going to be a battle. I wonder if they know something we don't.
I don't know. It's very possible. Yeah. Well, they know there's resistance rising because people know what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Now.
Absolutely.
Catherine Fitz says the digital prison. That's the last gate in the door that they can lock us up.
Absolutely. I think she is a national treasure. I hope to have her on the show sometime this year because she's amazing. But
So she's not too far from you. She's in Tennessee.
I know. She's wow. And you guys are going to be with her. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. She's a good lady. She gets it.
Yeah.
She's running around the country talking about it. She has a lot of hope, like I do, because she's waking people up to the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
She calls it kabuki theater.
Kabuki theater.
That's exactly what we're looking at here, folks.
All right, so we're going to have in a couple of minutes, guys, we're going to go to the comments. Wayne and I were going to do an hour or less. So if you have your questions, get them ready right now. And before we go to comments, Wayne, I just want to kind of give you some, give us your take on the future. Give us the hope that we're looking for. What do you see on the horizon?
I see, again, a resurgence of the Gen Z people. And watch them, wherever listening. I think they're going to be critically important. They're going to be independents. My wife and I see that. I see them talking to them. They know they've been lied to. Isn't that great?
Yeah. The uniparty's finally being realized.
Yeah, they say, we're not being lied to. Just tell us the truth. And if you tell them the truth, they welcome that. So then you have, as we go through time, the millennials and baby boomers, they kind of settle in. There's some of them, but I see a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hopeful, and they see when the economy gets ugly, people starts listening. When it hits your pocketbook,
Right.
Unfortunately, I've seen that too many times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets antsy because all of a sudden they can't take my wife out to dinner or buy something. So I see this, and I see that financial hurt coming up in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation is not going to go away anytime soon, folks.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, I think people are going to get, why did this happen? Can you fix it tomorrow? The answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we talk about involvement in the political process.
Yeah.
And if you don't hold our legislators accountable because we still have a constitution ruled by law, then it's shame on you.
Yeah.
You can't hire me out. It has to be a personal idea. That's the key. So the answer is, I'm hopeful because I just told you men and women don't want to be slaves with their family. They want to be free.
That's right.
And the spirit of man is to be free, not a slave. And I hold to that worldwide, not just the United States.
Amen to that. It's people. I mean, like I said, I'm hopeful, but when we've spent this much time still involved in foreign policy, and the only America First we're doing is setting up a UFC ring at the White House. So something is wrong here.
That's weird.
We've got to get back to these America First, not America only. It never needs to be America only. I hate the conflation people do, but like we should be focusing on our future generations, like you're talking about. We should be focusing on our own infrastructure, about making this country the best that it could possibly be. And I think we're doing anything but, Wayne.
Yeah, I understand. But we never asked you about UFOs. I thought you maybe asked you.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's because of where we're at, some of these things have become completely irrelevant to me. I don't even care about UFOs. We can't even get an arrest, or if you talk about the Epstein list, you're going to get bashed in the head by your own people. So it's like, why would I care about a UFO, especially from this guy?
I tell you a funny one. People ask me about if I believe in UFOs.
Right.
I said, I don't believe it, because if it existed, we would have gave it federal aid.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move to some comments here, and thanks for everybody out here that's watching. Lisa Adams, good to see you. Aaron Spears, thank you for being there. Howdy to Mike Dean Tiles, Carol Streeter. John Pierre says, I was John Birch many years ago. Well, that's good. I hope that you will you join back in. Huh? Absolutely.
We need more than ever now. More
yes,
patriots.
Absolutely. Dana Bridges Tate, good to see you. Haley Metz, the American Advocate. Folks, I just wanted to take a minute to talk just a second about Haley Metz. She is one of the most important voices in Georgia. And I'm telling you, even if I'm at work and Haley goes live, I try to stop and watch it. But when she speaks, we listen. But we appreciate having Haley out here tonight. Thank you for watching. Kim's Coffee Talk, always great to see you, Kim. Let's see here. Shasta Ledwell, good to see you. Hopefully another fellow Bircher coming up. Naha, who is a fellow Bircher, good to see you on here tonight. Let's see here. Denise Penley Owen, good to have you with us tonight. War Room Georgia, my boy Antonio, good to see you, sir. Charles Stoker, good to see you tonight too, Charles. Let's see. Charles Stoker says, do you take money from APAC?
No. No, we don't take money. We have, I can answer this. We have donors, gracious people like yourself by dues.
Yeah.
And folks who leave their house to us once in a while. We have a few donors that give us money. That's how we survive. Not dues for $87 a year. It just helps pay for the magazine. We don't take PAC money. We don't do that stuff. We don't do any of that stuff. Never have and never will. We're a public charity. By the way, let's talk about John Birch. So we forget to talk about him. John Birch, our name John Birch, is from a Christian missionary from Macon, Georgia. Yeah, he's a Macon, Georgia guy. Macon, Georgia. Went off to China to become a Christian Baptist Christian missionary, who was murdered by the communist Chinese after the war, right? Mm-hmm. And I told my wife, I really believe he was out evangelizing in the mountains with the Chinese people, and the godless Chinese killed him. Mm. So his death was locked up in how it was done for many years, because if it was open, we never would have funded communist Chinese. Because Chiang Kai-shek was very pro-American, but the globalists tossed him over to Formosa, now Taiwan, and that's how we had the mess. But John Birch, so Mr. Welch took John Birch's name, a Christian missionary from Georgia, as our name, right? Mm-hmm. In honor of him is our first casualty of the World War III.
Wow. Yeah.
That's cool. That's exactly why we have his name. Larry McDonald, Dr. Larry McDonald, was our chairman, and I live in this county. He would have been my congressman, and he lived in Marietta. Yeah. And Larry McDonald was our chairman. Wonderful guy. Ran as a Democrat, believe it or not, but he was very vocal, much like Tom Massey. Mm-hmm. Of course, they killed him because he was so vocal. But yeah, we have lots of good Georgia connections in John Birch.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted people to know John Birch himself was from Macon, Georgia.
Absolutely, yeah. And Larry McDonald is becoming one of my heroes as well. I go back and try to find as much as I can on him. So
Yeah.
let's see. Let's see here. Let me get down to some questions. We got a bunch of good comments tonight. Having good. Will you? Okay, hold on a second. Charles Stoker says, "Are you for or against Americans' involvement in Israel war?" In Israel's wars is what he's saying. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. They go back to the constitutionality of it. We never give foreign aid to any of that stuff.
Right.
And now, as I look at it, now I look at the repercussions of that. I would not get involved.
Sure.
Because what happens now, we have a real financial hurt on us, and now as we talked about, sending our strategic oil reserve over to Europe, it keeps on going down and down. So when I know the conspiracy so well, they set us up for a bigger problem. Look over here, but they end up destroying our economy.
Yeah.
That's the result of it all. So the answer is there could have been some good in this, but the end result was so ugly what's going on worldwide now because the Europeans are suffering as well. So I would have been opposed to like, hey guys, this is not our deal. Our Constitution said they're not banging on our door, even though we got threats and all.
Yes.
Now we see the effects of it all. It's not very good. It's a touchy answer.
Yeah.
But I look at it realistically,
right.
And that's kind of where we are at this point. It turned out to be really a nightmare now, huh?
Yes, and you know what? You hit the nail on the head. I totally agree with you. So I think whatever good could have come out of, like you said, it's gone now. We're in the middle of a conundrum, and that's putting it politely. So Jason Pierce, good to see you. He says real elections are key, and I do agree. I don't know if we'll ever get real elections, but
we talk about us. That's our problem. If we get involved, we can make that happen.
Yes, absolutely. I'm telling you, Wayne. I know Janice watches, but the state election the board meetings, which one went on today and tomorrow, and I got to catch about an hour of it earlier today. And I'm telling you, there are people, really good people, that are just getting so involved in this. It's
very important.
Yes, agreed.
Very important. That's the key. People involvement, right? Citizen involvement. Got to do that. That's your answer, no matter what state you live in.
Lisa Adams says, I don't understand folks not wanting to hold elected officials accountable. God forbid somebody take responsibility for being a rhino. Yeah, absolutely.
The answer to that question, when I talk about that scorecard, you have to hold them accountable. Go visit them and say, why are you voting this way? Mm-hmm. It does work, by the way, once they know you're watching them.
Absolutely. And Lisa said Arthur Hampton spoke about Fabian socialism at our Whitfield County GOP meeting back in February. Yeah,
of course.
Author's great. Haley Metz says after the show, can we list the books that we've discussed? And we absolutely will. Absolutely will. I'm getting ready. I'm reading a book right now by Bill Cooper called Behold a Pale Horse, and my next book is going to be what was it called? Oh Lord. Not 1984, but the other one. I'm having a fog here. Brave New World.
Brave New World.
I've already got it ordered, and everybody says you have to read that book. So.
Yeah, it's good. And also Animal Farm. It's all.
Yes.
George Orwell talks about Animal Farm. That's a play on.
Yes.
The dictator leaves, and now the pigs run the show. He turns out worse than the dictator. That's a play on about people and people's activity.
Yeah.
So. Interesting story. I know that people appreciate a story about 1984.
Sure.
Now you look at it through a different set of lenses, but the Fabian Freeway, the Fabians, and the CFR are linked, running world policy. So what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in the Far East, is controlled by that globalist organization. Mm-hmm. They control public policy globally.
Right.
And that's kind of where it's at. It's been that way for a while, but the lid's off. We keep on talking about it. So it's all about the conspiracy hard at work.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely, I've read Animal Farm a couple of times actually. And that's a great read. If you've never read Animal Farm, you've got to. Christy Miner is here with us tonight, and she provided the website. Christy Miner is great, fellow JBS member who ran for office, and amazing person. And when you want to talk about somebody who is an activist, boots on the ground, I just absolutely love Christy and all the work that she's doing out there. So, and you definitely need to hook up with Haley Metz, Christy, if you haven't. So Charles says Tricky was the Fabian communist and Joseph Stalin had him assassinated. Let's see here. There's another one. Yeah, so Christy's pulling it out there right now. She's got the links. Thank you so much. And Charles,
I can ask you a little point about John Birch, about Mao Zedong. Mm-hmm. Here's a little factoid that people don't know. Mao Zedong was installed in China by Joseph Stalin. Mm.
Yes.
You know that?
That's what I've heard.
He was a student and put in power by Joseph Stalin.
He was a student of Stalin's, yeah.
That's
absolutely.
right. So it wasn't some guy came out of the rice farm. He was installed as a communist from Moscow.
Yes.
And that's why they had to bury the death of John Birch, because they connected the dots, so we never would have funded and created the monster we have today called China. We actually created that, our own. That's our fault, technology-wise, funding-wise. So what we see is a product of our globalist conspiracy, much like Russia.
Yes.
The largest truck factory in the world is in the Kama River in Russia. Did you know that? Built by Ford. Yep.
Really?
How about that, huh?
Wow.
Surprise, surprise.
Man. Naha says he says on the horizon depends on discernment of general public. I hope for the great awakening, but we prepare for the other alternative. So
yeah,
always,
I'm hopeful.
I want to be. I'm still in the skeptic phase, but I'm hopeful. We're still here. So
I've been here before, brother. 2000, 1976. Yes. We're all gonna die. Yes. Millerites. Lord's coming back any day. Go on top of the roof. Yeah. They all came back down. He didn't show up. I just keep on. Lord says, "Occupy till I come. Stay, fight, stand for the truth every day." Right?
Absolutely, man.
Can't back down. Not 1 second.
Yes. Absolutely. Mike Dean Tile says UFOs are just a distraction. I mean, they certainly seem to be. So,
yeah.
Andrew Kyer, good to have Andrew on tonight. Another fellow Bircher. He says on the UFOs, the message of the UFOs is prepare for the Antichrist. The savior of the apostate world is coming to rule it. Saint Seraphim Rose. So, well said. Jan Sheffield, thank you for being here. Chrissy Seaboth, hello to you this evening. And and Christy put another one I forgot about. John Birch's parents met while teaching at Berry College, so strong roots in Northwest Georgia. And it's funny, I grew up my whole life. I've been following InfoWars since around 2003, 2004, all my adult life, and always heard of it. But I've always been told that they were the big boogeyman of everything. But like you said at the beginning, the world is catching up to the John Birch Society. This is where we're at. So,
well, you think about it, they would have to discredit what we're saying because they're telling what it's about.
That's right.
The devil doesn't like light shine in darkness. So
yes,
here we are.
That's
Surprise.
Right. And Charles Stoker says Larry McDonald was a real American hero. That's absolutely. Christy says John Birch graduated from Gore High School in Chattooga County before his family moved to Macon. Wow, I did not know that. That's wild.
Yeah, he went to seminary there in Macon. Yeah.
Haley Metz, she says we have many NGOs that are part of dark money that flow into our public funds, which then attaches to foreign government. Do you ever think staffers will start alerting legislatures on this issue? And is it going to take other NGOs advocating and showing the breakdown of this? And we have to get this out of our budget. So what's your take on the NGOs and the structures?
Yeah, well, NGOs have been around, again, for a long time. And what happened is it's, again, going to public education. We've written about those. There's lots of them, different names and all. But the staffers, I don't believe they know the results of having NGOs monitoring and managing them. But again, that's up to us to explain. Right. Could you tell us who that NGO is and why are we doing this?
That's right.
If you don't say anything to them, they're running the show. I must be doing a great job. Nobody's banging on my door.
That's right.
Except for, could you do me a favor, give me a parking pass someplace, But that's our problem is we have to get involved in that. But a good question we've written about, you can do it, go to our website. We have a lot written about NGOs, identifying who they are and their background. They've been around for a long time worldwide. So the job is, yes, I would say question the staffers. Do you know about them, what it is? Right. And most of them, will not know. They don't even know Americanism, the one I see. They think we're a democracy, not a republic. How's that for starters?
Oh my God, I know. And Haley does probably the best job I've seen at identifying NGOs, and that's what she breaks down. And I think that is a very key element into how we move forward in government by identifying this, opening up all of the dark spots and allowing, even in this election cycle now, we're seeing people uncover like never before, who people donate their money to PACs and who people are tied to with these LLC corporations and these weird things under the surface. And I've never seen so much information out there, and I liken it as no more business as usual. We're going to expose these things. We're going to get people in office that only care about making this country better for everybody and not what they can line their pockets with. This is ridiculous what we're in.
Yeah, Tom Massey died because of special interests.
Yeah, that was insane.
He got money. He got himself kicked out of office because somebody bought the seat.
Absolutely, and it was plain in front of their eyes, and they even bragged about it. They bragged about it, about meddling in an election with millions of dollars. They brag about it, and oh my Lord, they even bragged about it in some of our elections up here in Northwest Georgia. So anyway,
he'll be back again. By the way, he's going to run again in 28.
Oh yeah.
He told us.
I know. Well, and people are just going to we're going to have to catch up with us because what we're seeing now. I believe a lot of this is providential. And even under Donald Trump and this administration, so much truth is being uncovered, and I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, but you just got to keep hanging on because everything happens for a reason, and even what is going on right now, we say this is not the same Trump that we know, but think of the providence of how connected people are getting, and how we're all starting to discover these NGOs and the fraud, waste, and abuse, and regardless whether they won't lift a finger, we are starting to. So that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yes.
But all right, so that is pretty much the end of our comments. And Wayne, I just want to tell you, it's been an absolute blast to have you on the show tonight. I know we try to keep it an hour, but this has been a long time in the making, and I hope that we can do this again.
Absolutely.
But I always give my guests the last word, so I'm going to give you the last word, sir.
Okay. Well, jbs.org. We have lots of information, educational materials. We talked about the Freedom Index. You can download that to your phone, freedomindex.us, tells you the voting record of every legislator in the United States. Our magazine called thenewamerica.com. We have a website, 10 different languages. You want to practice your German, French, Chinese, Korean, whatever. But we did this worldwide. I hope that's in our and I think the books, we talked about Fabian Freeway and the Shadows of Power is another one about the CFR. The Blue Book, we have this Shadows of Power. We have lots of books on that, but those are just basic information. But I'm going to encourage everybody to read their state constitution, okay?
Yes.
And their U.S. Constitution. We have courses on that, not the state constitution, but the U.S. Constitution, because your legislators as well as your neighbors have not read the Constitution.
Right.
Bottom line is they're playing on your ignorance and inability to be active. So you're going to get legislators what you get.
That's right.
If you don't like them, you can change them. That's why we have an election every 2 years.
Right.
So you got to get involved and know your Constitution is a good part of it, but get involved and visit them we're talking about, because legislators know they're being looked at.
Yes.
They have two choices, vote constitutionally or they get taken out of office.
That's
and
right.
Once we do that, we'll have better laws, because Congress is the key. As Larry McDonald says, Congress makes the law. They have the power of the purse.
That's right.
So if we don't control Congress, we're toast. And that's kind of why we are in a tough spot, because we don't control Congress any longer.
That's right. A lot of people accuse JBS of being like lazy activism, but you know what I say?
Really?
Oh yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. We're about to change that. I think we're about to change that. If anything has happened out of all of this mess, it's that people are waking up and they're getting out of this uniparty mindset, and they're getting into, hey, where is the truth? Where is the light? Where can we do the most good? And I think people are flocking to this kind of stuff. So
yes, they want to know truth. I gave the Gen Z people really love us. You said, you tell us the truth. We've been waiting for you guys for a long time. Yeah. Isn't that good to hear?
It is. It's wonderful.
Watch that group for the voting time.
Yeah.
They're very, very important and very vocal. Absolutely. So I'm really excited about being with them and educate them about Americanism. That will really help us turn the tide.
Yes, I think you're right, man, and it's always about the younger generation. So, well, Mr. Morrow, thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight, and we would love to have you come back with us. Okay.
I will. Appreciate the time. Enjoyed it so much. Thank you.
Yes, and guys, just stay tuned. Probably Friday night and Saturday night, I got a little something special cooking up for us. It's going to be real loose. Probably going to do a couple of panel shows. Antonio and I got some stuff cooking. We want to talk to you. We want to get your take on all this madness around us, and then I'm going to take my long-awaited real break off of here. And but anyway, thanks for watching tonight. I love you guys. Thank y'all for all the support. We appreciate it. Go check out www.jbs.org. You can holler at me for more details, and we'll see you guys later.
Legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.